I'm delighted to welcome everyone here tonight to hear from two amazing women, uh, Stephanie Rose Bird and Nzinga Ama Nomo of Afriware Books. Can everyone hear me? I should probably speak out. Um, I've been looking forward to this evening for some time. Stephanie's work has inspired and moved me, and I hope that tonight wraps you in the intuitive powers that are in the books. Um, so let me introduce Stephanie Rose Bird. She is a painter and the author of several best-selling books on earth spirituality, voodoo, and anthropology, including Sticks, Stones, Roots, and Bones, 365 Days of Hoodoo, and Light, Bright, and Damned Near White. Bird, who holds a BFA cum laude and an MFA, is a devotee of the divinely feminine. She is an elder, priestess, magic maker, and keeper of the spiritual wisdom of her indigenous African ancestors. Her work centers on the nexus of earth wisdom and the legacy of Black cultural heritage. I'd like to read a quote from, Rhonda Allen, the founder of Black Women of Magic and Conjure. She extols the riches in this book that we're launching tonight, African American Magic. African American Magic brings us into the present, acknowledging the impacts of global health traumas on our communities and the increased shift in our focus to how we care for ourselves, our families, and our homes. African American Magic is a grimoire that invites each reader to build on it, creating their own unique collection of recorded histories and practices for use now and as a gift from the ancestors for future generations. I personally cannot wait to hear and read this book. And with that, I will actually wait. Nzinga, I must speak about your offerings to the world. You are the owner and founder of Afriware Books, a premier African-centered bookstore, gift shop, and cultural event center located in Maywood, Illinois since 1993. Afriware was born out of her love of African history, culture, and her passion for networking and representing cultural artists. She was also a professor at DePaul University for 10 years, teaching a mathematical and technological literacy class. Ms. Nomo's leadership, integrity, technical expertise, musical experience, commitment to cultural excellence, and networking savvy is Afriware's greatest asset. For over 20 years, Ms. Nomo has utilized her skills to coordinate or facilitate Afriware's events programming with a range of authors, community activists, and musical artists. I invite you all to visit Afriware. It's a rich place to encounter new authors, artists, and musicians. Yeah. And with that, I'll let you begin.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting to me. It is wonderful to see your faces. Oh my goodness, Stephanie and I, we go way back. And your book is scrumptious and delicious. Let me just start.
Thank you.
Start with that. We have had at least two previous book signings together. And they're so unique because after the book signing, sometimes she also will, oh, I need this, right? She will engage us with some of her herbal concoctions, which is so exciting. And one of our book signings was in Oak Park, which was one block east of the Lake Street Theater before they replaced it with a skyscraper. And so when Sky called or emailed and said, what if you interview Stephanie Rose Bird? It was such an easy yes. And the perk was that I get to read her latest book. African American Magic, a modern grimoire for the natural home, 4 Seasons of Rituals, Recipes, Hoodoo, and Herbs is her latest. However, she also has her previous work, The Healing Power of African American Spirituality, Sticks, Stones, Roots, and Bones, Hoodoo, Mojo, and Conjuring with Herbs, 365 Days of Hoodoo, Daily Root Work, Mojo, and Conjuration, Earth Mama's Spiritual Guide to Weight Loss. As a bookseller, we are so thankful, okay, that you keep producing these high quality works. I wanted to just start with words from her preface that I think really set the tone so well. And I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit if you don't mind. She says, as you enter this book signing, bring an open and curious heart and mind. Through your openness and curiosity, combined with your willingness to experiment and try new things, the attendee's experience will expand. I love that. I love that because there is so much um, misunderstanding, so many misunderstandings about the title of
Yes.
your work alone. So I wanted you to, if you don't mind, starting with how book, this particular book came to be.
Okay. So it started as 4 Seasons of Mojo in 2006. And I don't know, that was like a really weird and funky time in publishing and my genre, things like that. So it was a bit of a sleeper, it just was like, but how did it come to be? I wanted a book on natural home cleaning, blessings, rituals, ceremonies, things that you could be excited about in the tactile sense, very sensual book with lots of essential oils and things like that. So that was my dream for the book. And then it went out of print for a while, and amazingly, I would see that book, 4 Seasons of Mojo, on sale online for like $250, $300. I started telling people, I got a letter from a guy in Athens, Greece, and he wouldn't let down. I was just like, okay, this is just one of those letters from my website, and he's going to go away. But no, I had to mail him a book because he couldn't get it in his country. So there was some popularity to the book. It was like a sleeper that came back to life. And I'm very involved with the mystical, so I heard that. But yeah, so Wiser Books, they have taken a great interest in all of my complete holdings of my work, and they have been reissuing them with beautiful new covers like this that I find so inspirational and gorgeous. Um, they approached me about reprinting it, and it was a no-brainer. I really enjoyed uh, the process of it. And it's really like a forward-thinking book. Like at that time, there weren't all of these green products on the market. It was like, here you go. This is how you make them, is what I was saying in the pages of the book. But yeah, the products, just all of those lines were not available at that time. Even Nzinga mentioned to me in one of our conversations that I have a sentence where I say, there's a little known holiday called Juneteenth, and now it's a national holiday. So, I feel like the work was very, very forward thinking, maybe a little bit before its time. And I'm glad that you're here to learn more about it tonight. So,
Oh my goodness. So where to begin? Okay, I wanted to kind of give our audience more depth about your authority that you bring to this topic. Because yes, you are a trailblazer. You know, speaking about Juneteenth, when many hadn't heard of it at all, your dedication, and I'll just paraphrase a little bit. Her dedication alone is to the people who own the red cloud, um, and the people at the outstation of Maparu in Australia who kindly adopted my family into theirs and showed us how the ancient ways continue in the modern day. Please fill out more about that dedication.
so when I saw the Australian Aboriginal painters, I just fell in love. I was like, I don't care what I have to do. I will move heaven and earth, but I need to be living with those people for a while and learning about what they do. So, it's very difficult to be able even to be have permission to be on their grounds. You have to talk to the chief of the community. You have to have someone who's going to be like your emissary or consort. I mean, someone that's going to hold your arm and introduce you into the communities. Um, that particular one, the at Makaru, that's an outstation in the Elko Island area, and that is near Darwin, but not really too close. You'd have to take several planes to come in from Darwin, Northern Territory, in the outback. And yeah, I won a Fulbright Senior Scholar Award to go there. They only awarded two in the country in my field, in which is art and anthropology. I brought my children. My son, who's sitting in the back, was about, how old were you?
Second grade.
Yeah, second grade. And then my youngest, Olivia, was 18 months old and in diapers. My husband sitting in the back as well. We all went together as a family, and I was very moved at the process of getting adopted into the community and having a sense of belonging. We all had names, so that if you don't really have a name and you're adopted, you're not really alive, literally. Like you're just like someone to be avoided. So the fact that they adopted us and took us in was quite a big deal. I wanted to dedicate the book to them because it was from living with them so close to the land that I came to do this kind of work.
Okay, so Priestess Bird, yes. Please talk more about this title about grimoire. So, African American Magic, a modern grimoire for the natural home. And I Googled it first, right? Um, and then we will compare it to your
Okay.
definition.
Mhm.
Grimoire commonly serves as an alternate name for a spell book or tomb of magical knowledge in fantasy fiction and role-playing game.
What?
Please
question.
correct. Please correct Google.
Yeah. So, grimoires are magical books that magical people have possession of. I have a couple that have all of my like sort of recipes and rituals, experiments, notes, drawings, things like that in them. They're very precious to us. And I wanted to take the notion of sharing my grimoire with the public, but also I love to encourage the reader to also have their own grimoire as they go about going through the work. So. My
Okay.
definition's a little different.
Just a
Role
little, like a
playing, but
lot. Okay,
yeah.
so I have started like clearly I have almost every page dog-eared. Um, and so okay, so let me say this about the term magic. That the just changing the title from the previous one to include magic, to have magic as the umbrella. I love this because of the previous stigma associated with the term and the way you have redefined what it includes. You have taking a bath in Epsom salt. You have doing a child's hair. Can you speak more about selecting that word for the
Yes.
title?
Yes. And I believe you called me priestess as well because
Yes.
for a while, I've been like, oh, you do this, you do that, you do that, you do this. And finally, I had to sit down and do some soul searching. So, what is all that? Like, oh, of course, it's a priestess. So, I'm now priestess Stephanie Rose Bird. I had to redefine myself. I'm doing a lot of different kinds of definitions these days with magic. So magic is not the hocus pocus variety with the rabbit in the hat and that kind of thing. And we make that definition by changing it, adding a K to it so that you realize, oh, this is something different. Um, the things that the instances, examples that you brought up from the book, like the child sitting between your knees and you greasing the parts in their hair, to me, that's magic. hmm Um, there are so many different kinds of magic rather than stirring a cauldron would be one type of magic, but there is a lot in the everyday, and that's what this book is about, is everyday magic.
Okay, so maybe this is a good time for you to read a section for the book. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to read The Pathway Home, and if you all have the book with you, it's on page 25. And The Pathway Home actually started, I was in an anthology called Light Bright. Nope, that's my other book. Sorry. But it's a long title like that. Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. Black Women Look at Midlife. So, this was my book about the various life passages. And at this point in my life, I'm very much in the motherhood stage. So I'm speaking about that. Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think that's enough of an introduction, but just to say, obviously this isn't now. This was quite a long time ago that I wrote this, decades. The Pathway Home. We are ambling down the path, boxes and bags held snug, when a vision of a new home in the distance offsets my balance. I pause. A cursory glance over the barren gray dirt that someone thought was a yard, and a plant hatches. A couple of forsythia bushes over there, a smatter of deep purple Dutch iris here, maybe some double blooming raspberry scented peonies right there, a cluster of sweetly fragrant lilies closest to the front door. Ah, that would be a nice touch. At long last, a creative plan to fill the void. We waddle back and forth, arms brimming with precious possessions. Just before dusk, with boxes, bags, paintings, sculptures, and tatty furniture tucked safely indoors, it is time to venture back outside. After living in the inner city with barely a tree over 5 years old, having a yard, however barren and small, is emancipation. But what would Mama think? There is none of the bucolic splendor here that I grew up with. This tight and tidy brick two flat is only a stone's throw away from the L tracks. Once, the view from my bedroom window was of a verdant lake rimmed with sweeping pines and sleepy willows. Now I look out over the canyon created by the expressway and a river of ever flowing, noisy vehicles. As an artist, I realize the world is as beautiful as imagination permits. I plow the soil diligently with my hand tools, flipping her over and over again with my pitchfork. Soon enough, it becomes evident that, like me, she is still very fertile. As I dig down deep, I find the soil to be as rich and black as a Yoruban queen. Within these dark depths, I plant an array of seeds and bulbs. Lullabies at night for the little one, sunny daffodils by day to light the way for the boys, purple pansies, mama's color and flower in her memory, hope for the healthy birth of the little girl growing within my still flat belly, sunflowers, narcissus, and a variety of botanical tulips for my grandmothers, and Negro spirituals as a tribute to my grandpa. Shiny pennies are tossed for luck, yarrow for my ultra strong great grandma Louise, sensual Bourbonnais roses for my dear Aunt Rose, daily water and fire rituals for clarity, strength, and protection, Columbine spring song for my second mom, Iris, who radiates gentility, power, and grace, rites of fertility, recipes for continued health, creativity, and infinite capacity to love. And these are anchored by a round cairn of stone, symbolic of my soulmate, all set behind a whitewashed picket fence that seemed to begin aging as soon as it was erected, sprinkled with gopher dust to bar evil spirits from entry. And so it went for over a decade. The little one and I head up the path, projects, chores, responsibilities, appointments, obligations, that heady scent of lilac, Bourbonnais roses, and the remaining narcissus muddle my thoughts. The path from home is not the straight walk it once was. Today my path is strewn with leaves, stems, flowers, and looming shadows. Veronica Speedwell leans over each side of the walkway, gossiping with the little chrysanthemums. The peonies now need their own zip code, but at least the lilies keep to themselves. The black-eyed Susans are spreading everywhere, but the cronewort, Artemisia vulgaris, where the hell did she come from? Thankfully, she is just as thick as she is tall. I hear her cackle coming and going, though sometimes it is just barely audible. She and her feathery leaves look like helping hands. Tough sage, green on top, tender, soft, and silver beneath, tassels above all, lending sultry airs all around. Mysteriously, cronewort has taken up residence outside our front door. Where once there was order, plans, and direction to my garden, there is now a lush green space whose semblance of order beneath, at the base of the garden, is within the roots. Buried remnants of well-laid plans intermingle with seashells and pennies from days of old. My garden is now a sanctuary. Birds, bees, children, and weary commuters find soul food and solace as they make their way through the world. This place people used to call a yard is now more of a healer's thatch. Approaching a wildflower prairie, this space is sheltered by a teeming forest of sunflowers with the cronewort and her stylish tresses acting as gatekeeper. I could go on and on about my tangled mass of stems, overgrown perennials, strangling weeds, and stinging thistles. Most often, though, I just want to get home and latch that decrepit gate behind me.
I'm so glad you chose that section because that is the section that I started saying, wait a minute, I should choose every part of my garden in this fashion. I love how you make practical the magic and you personalize it to each of us. So there's this whole thought of, do I have to choose red like you? No, it's what is meaningful for me. So you intentionalize. I love how you um, make, you add meaning to our lives by kind of redefining magic within it. I love this, you guys. I love this, you guys. So,
And it
thank
was
you.
hard to read that. It's very emotional for me. I
Mhm.
mean, people that have passed on, my children are here, they've grown up. My little flat bellied child is over there, Olivia, biggest day now. Yeah, it's a lot. And it was a load, and I was glad that I could make it through it without tears or anything like that. But I remember once, the funniest thing, a delivery man, I can't remember if he was delivering a parcel or food, but he was like, "Man, I'm not going in there. That looks like Nan." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But anyway, it's a little bit more orderly now, thanks to my husband.
Really catches your attention.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what else do I have here? Oh, talk about the structure, why you chose the structure of the seasons for the book. Yeah, please.
So, yeah, the seasons, I wanted to do two things seasonally. I wanted to do the seasons of life, and that piece sort of illustrates that because it's like maiden, motherhood, crone, kind of those life passages, and also the seasons of living in a temperate zone like we do, because different people that read the work, it's not like that for them. They might have just the wet season and the dry season, or it's warm all the time. But I feel like so much is expressed so clearly through winter, my favorite season, by the way. A lot of people really can't get into winter, but I really, really like it a lot because it pulls you into the home. It's like nesting time, and it's quiet, and I feel like there's not as much asked of us in a certain kind of way until the holidays come. Um, but yeah, so yeah, just wanted to work the season. Spring is about sort of freshening yourself up and doing your hair and things like that. So autumn is more again about that harvest and cooking harvest foods, that particularly soul foods that have been important to our sustenance, nourishing and soul feeding as well. So yeah, seasons.
So, I was like mad that you started with winter. I was like, why is she starting with winter? That's the worst one. But when you explained it, it's like, oh gosh, that makes so much sense. And I was trying to reference, well, how else do we do this in America? Oh, some of the things we hear are, oh, that fruit is out of season, but because most people aren't growing their own, we're not in touch with what fruit is in season because it's just shipped here, papaya, we don't know where it's coming from. And so when the way she explains, the way you explain, um, and organize the seasons with the magic. It's just, oh gosh, it's like ding, ding, ding. It made so much sense for me. I really, really, really appreciated that part because this society is so disconnected, I think, from the origin story, from
Yes.
the why behind things. And you provide this so beautifully and scrumptiously. I really mean that.
Thank
You
you.
know, I was like, this is like, I'm ready to, get my herbs together. And
Mhm.
she has all these recipes, you guys. And it's just like, I can do this. It's so empowering
Thank
as
you.
well. So yeah,
It's a lot.
it's it's
Come.
so much more than, what you see here on the title. You can really just jump right in because it's welcoming.
Mhm.
And thank you for that because the ones who I'll say criticize magic don't understand it.
Mm.
And because they really don't even understand it really. So yeah, I just wanted to
Thank you.
publicly thank you for dignifying our tradition in a way that we can be proud
Yes.
of this. We don't have to be undercover. Oh, did you see?
Right.
We can
Can
be
I eat my
proud of this.
watermelon in the public? Or what does that mean? What does that look like?
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you want to speak more about that whole the corruption of the word? Why you decided to just make it plain?
Yeah.
Was it
I wanted to.
appalling?
Hmm. I really wanted to make it plain, even though they gave me lots of subtitles and
Mm.
there's things everywhere. Four Seasons of Mojo was its first title, and I came under fire at that time. There were a lot of people, so like, mm, they weren't like really. I don't know how to describe it, but attacking it. Oh, this isn't voodoo. This isn't magic. This particular book, and I thought when it's reissued, retitled, let's just like strip it bare. Let's call it what it is: African American magic. Period. So that way, I'm speaking about spirituality from the diaspora, not just not it's not hoodoo, it's not anything you can put your fingers on. It is magic. It's so elusive. It's like it's hard to describe. It's hard for me to discuss, even though I go on at length in this book trying to provide you with different ways to capture, trap, express your magic. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question or not,
It's
but
huge. What you did, that
yeah,
was huge. Yes,
okay.
thank you. And I'm being mindful of the time and want to make sure that I'm sharing the right, the questions that you all might have. So maybe we can
I can pass
collect
the pop, as it were, and if anybody has
collect your
questions,
questions.
or
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
want to take a moment now to, doesn't even me, I think I can do this. Let's give it a shot. Which one? Which one? Thank you. Thank you.
Like this is good.
Okay, people are ready. There's one question.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Let me also say, please print. Please print. Oh, can you read a recipe for blessing for a summer? If it's not in the book, maybe. Maybe you can,
Just like say one or
yeah. I mean, I don't, is there one of this particular collection? A blessing for summer. And if not, that
More questions coming.
another recipe,
okay.
Yeah.
because there are plenty of recipes in there.
Hmm. I really, I grew up around a lot of oak trees, and I'm a big fan of their power and magic. We had a particular oak tree that I write about in a different book that my class, as children, we would go to visit because it was 500 years old. And we would go and just behold the power of that oak. My family and I, we traveled to the Carolinas, South Carolina, to visit Angel Oaks. So on page 150 in here, I have a piece about the magic of oak and oak moon. And so I can read you a small piece called Oak Moon Bathing Ritual. To absorb the nurturing gifts of oak, go outside and gather 10 pliable oak leaves. And this is something so great that you can do right now, tomorrow. Draw a bath at dusk. Light a white candle with the scent of rain, so a rain scented white candle. Put this on a safe candle holder. Place 7 of the leaves in the tub with you. Use the other 3 to wash your body. Wet, then lather up 1 leaf at a time and wash your body as you recite. Strength and courage I summon thee. Wisdom of the mighty oak tree. Cleanse me, treat me, and touch my soul. Thereby others I can make whole. So that's something you can do.
I love oak trees.
Yeah.
Seriously, they speak to me. Right. So each of these is very unique, so I'm going to read them all.
Okay.
Who are some of your favorite writers, artists, scholars who align with your research?
That's a big one. I mean, in terms of artists, I really love the abstract expressionists, and I particularly like the female abstract expressionists, Joan Mitchell, Lee Krasner, people like that. But I like, Mark Rothko and a bunch of people because they are like Mark Rothko, for example, is literally painting his soul, and that is breathtaking. If you understand that, if you can stand in front of his work and absorb that, that's magic. There is a scholar, Robert Ferris Thompson, that I talk a lot about in my work, and he influenced Stick Stones, Roots and Bones a lot. He wrote Flash of the Spirit, and he started when I started reading his work, because when I read his work, I was pretty deeply seated into painting. I was not a writer at that time. And when I read his work, it was like synapses, just like things started to come together for me. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's hoodoo. It's hoodoo time. So yeah, he is important to me. What other kind of person?
Writers, artists, scholars who align with
I
your
like
research.
Nikki Giovanni. You can see pictures of her online, just melting into the forest, into the trees. I admire her so greatly. I like Louisa Tesh, who last year I had the opportunity to um, I want to say be in her presence because we call the elders queen mothers, and she is the queen of queen mothers. She wrote Jambalaya, and that's the book that started us all. So, um, yeah. So I will leave it with them a lot. Obviously, I have a really big library and I love books. Um, Love to go to the library too, Sky. But yeah, I like a lot of books and I could wax on and on about them. I'm really into poetry, as you might be able to notice by that piece that I read. I like uh, E. E. Cummings, a lot of different poets and um, writers have all influenced my work. So, yeah.
Okay. Next question. How does land and magic work when you live in a big city away from so much of it?
Yeah. Um, well, you're never too far away. Like, there are birds, like there are at least 12 different species of birds in Inglewood, in Pilsen. Like, they just like they're living, they're doing their thing. So there's birds. There, you can go also just like to a conservatory, not a conservatory so much, but that is one thing to do. It's a little canned in there, but I was thinking of a nature preserve to step out and go there. Another thing that I advise people to do is grow your own trees in your house, like grow like Meyer lemon, um, different kinds of, you can have your own little orchard right in your home, banana trees, different kinds of palms. Once you're committed and you feel this calling, you will find all of these different kind of ways to bring nature, soil, environment into your life. And um, the books like really help you because like I will ask you to take certain herbs and like breathe into them, like rub them out into the bowl, chanting different kinds of things. So um yeah, there's a variety of ways to do that.
Okay, guys. She has a section on shea butter. How many of you know of shea butter? She makes magic. So just the act of melting it in your hands and putting it on your body. You see, it's like this close to you. It's
Yeah.
not, you don't
Yeah,
have
it's
to
never
get,
it's never too far away. And then like if you get like shea butter, the yellow type, you can actually smell the fires on which it was processed in Ghana and different kinds of places. You just bring it up to your nose, use you don't really need your imagination. Just use your nose and you can smell it. You can smell it being there. I had this just, I won't talk about shea butter too long, but I have a braider who's from Senegal and Mali. She moved between the two places. And I've written a lot about all of the different uses of shea butter, like how it's used for lights and for cooking, and of course for hair and for beauty, but just for many different things taken orally for to treat different kind of illnesses. And I was sitting there, and she was braiding my hair, and she started telling me all of this, and I know she wasn't familiar with my book, and it was just like it was just magic, it was just like this magical, like affirming experience. So also Africa can come to you. Sometimes you can't go to it. Um, it comes to you through different things, like the shea butter, like storytellers like her, Griot. So yeah.
okay. So maybe some of you got some more questions as a result of that, but I
Yeah.
have a couple more. Oh, could you make sure we get everyone? Okay, the next question. Thank you. How is this book different than your previous books?
Well, each book has its own different area where it is focused. Like the Healing Grove is built all around trees and tree magic. Six Stones, Roots and Bones is an eclectic magic book focused around Voodoo. This book is more about the home and self-care. So each book is different. And this book is more, like I said earlier, where it is about making your own like hair dyes, making cleansers for the bathroom. It's probably a self-care and magic book together combined. So that's how it's different.
Okay. Now there's someone that has a question they want to voice. Was it you? Okay,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, okay. It's good because it's kind of related to the question that you just answered. So your first, I don't know if this is your first book, but your first book that I knew of is Stick Stones Roots.
That's the first book, yeah.
And I went to your book signing. It was a long time ago and it was at Afriware.
Yeah.
I was a little 20-something-year-old
Yeah.
girl. And time, there were no books about Voodoo. If you read about Voodoo, it was like maybe in a historical type of book or maybe in fiction, like Toni Morrison. But your book was the only one, so you could write anything, and it was a surprise and super exciting because it did not exist anywhere.
Yeah.
And now at this time, there's been like an explosion of Voodoo books, many of them written by people outside of the culture. Something that I really appreciate about your books is that you're writing about Voodoo and magic as a way of life,
Hmm.
not just spells. Spells are part of it,
Yeah.
but a way of life. I'm wondering for you, since there's been this explosion of
Hmm.
people writing about Voodoo and African American magic, has it at all impacted the way that you write, your process, when you're thinking about what you want to write about? Is there like, oh man, somebody just put this out 2 days ago? Like,
Yeah.
I'm curious about your process now
Hmm.
versus before.
Okay, so I feel really fortunate to have the art background because I have endless creativity.
Yeah.
I was a dancer, I did theater, I sang, um, I said I wrote poetry, like, so there's an endless font of creativity because my ancestors gave it to me. So most of the time, like I try not to like scout around. I mean, I have gone years without looking on Amazon at the topic hoodoo. And then when I went, I was like, oh my God, there's so much. And I do think about being fresh. Like creativity is at the core of my being. So if what I do cannot be creative, then I won't do it. This is why sometimes, there'll be like this original 2006. Then I think A Healing Growth came out in 2009. So like I spread out and just think and germinate like different kinds of ideas and thoughts, and something will typically come to me. They send it to me what the message should be.
Answer your question. Okay.
Yes.
Next question, two more at the time. Um, okay. Yes, good question. Can magic be observational or only active participation or creative?
So, mm, um, the part at the last little bit threw me a little bit for a loop, or creative. I don't know exactly what was meant by that, but I think it can be sort of observed and absorbed. Like, I think that sometimes for people, my books are like my first literary agent called them armchair. She's like, "Oh, this is very armchair." I was like, "What does that mean?" But she was like, "I can enjoy this, but I'm not really about to do it." Um, so I would say yes, it can be observed, but hopefully eventually it will also absorb in and you will want to practice.
Oh yeah, this book gets you wanting to be very active. Um, the last question for now. How has your spiritual practice had to change to conform to your writing process and execution?
Um,
Or has it?
I don't think that my spirituality changed. I mean, I just feel like I'm writing right now very heavily, and I have to have certain components to make the writing fly. Like, I need my candles lit. They have to be of a certain type. I like to have sage and other different kinds of smudges going. Um, the writing needs other things besides just thoughts. Like, it needs different kinds of herbal energies and stones and things to be able to be carried out. So,
So everything can be um, crafted, everything can be molded
mhm.
to what inspires you,
Yeah, it's
whether it's
like,
your ancestors.
yeah, it's like food. I remember just like maybe a couple of weeks ago, I was at my son's place and I was really getting into like I had like some crazy mixture of cedar burning with white sage, and he came in the yard. I could hear you from far away saying, "Ooh, it smells like Australia." But yeah, I need that going. Sometimes that causes it can cause controversy around not with that son, but in my home. Because it's strong. There's strong smells, and but like without them and certain kind of sound, I don't feel like I can really work. So I feel empty.
Let's see. And by the way, there is a disclaimer at the beginning. Consult your physician, etc., right? Because there's so many you just really want to try, imbibe, and of course you should make sure that you're being safe as well. And I like that you talk about um, that some of the things that you're creating here may disturb
Other people, yeah.
other people,
Hmm.
right? So to be mindful of that. And I
Yeah.
really like that you included that type of detail. Um, for me, I kept seeing, I kept understanding better my grandfather, for example, with some of the details is really phenomenal in this book. So okay, again, thank you. So we're now close to 7:30. We want to make sure that every single person buys a book. Okay, we want to go on the record to request your support of the author. And also, Stephanie and I will have I'll say a part two mini workshop to this at the store at Afterware in the July-August timeframe. So make sure you have signed the email list so we can contact you about that. Yeah. So did I miss any questions burning that you gotta ask? Because you can also, of course, talk to her directly. Okay,
Yeah.
I have one more. You probably get this one a lot. And I know that they're all your babies, all of your books, but do you have a favorite one or one that your favorite one right now, even?
Um, Six Stones, Roots and Bones is always going to be, it's the baby, and I call it a love letter to my people. So that one really resonates with me still. I think it's standing up to the test of time. It's in its 14th edition. Um, so I like that book quite a lot. But I when I'm at a book signing or something and I'll have like six different of my books, I ask people like I don't know, I just feel like each one has its different thing. Like today I brought besides African American Magic, 365 Days of Hoodoo is here because it's a very I'm kind of proud of that book because it's very historical for me and it still goes out there sometimes because I just have to. But it has a lot of that early history of hoodoo in those pages. So that's a book that is a sense of pride for me. So I think that's no mistake why it's here. So
And what are the prices
I'm
for?
doing 25 for them just because I have to do tax and I had to ship them to here. So I'm just doing like a flat fee. Someone
You
else
accept all forms of payment?
yeah, I
Okay, just
do.
making sure. We have two more questions or?
Yeah.
Is someone go back up? I don't know. Oh, okay. You okay? Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was there a part of nature that kind of you understood its magic in doing this book, or was kind of revealed to you? Was there an aspect of nature that was its magic was kind of revealed during this writing this book?
When you ask that question, the first thing that popped into my head is water because that always does it for me. Like I love to swim. I like natural bodies of water. And there's a lot of like baths and like washing your hair and doing things like that. So it's the water.
Yes.
Last question.
I thought it was when you said that there's certain sounds that you need to hear, and I was wondering what sounds or music artists like do you feel support your craft?
I really like, and I have written about them very much, are the from Mali and Senegal. What is the instrument called? I know you know, Chanel.
Does it have strings? Is
Yes,
it the kora?
yes, the
Okay.
choral.
Does it say?
Yes. So I like to hear the choir like once a week, but throwing back to that other question where people were asking about being in an urban environment, because where I live is like it's a suburb, but it's an urban suburb. I like to listen to like running water and birds a lot. So even though there are birds outside, I still like it like really strongly coming at me. So I listen to nature sounds and then to African music.
Excellent. Now, this is a good segue. Okay, so for those of us who may, look at some of the recipes and we're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your botanical
Oh yeah.
creations and how to reach you, or
Mhm.
if there's certain smudge sticks that they'd be interested in?
Yeah, my daughter and I have a company, SRB Botanica, and
What's the
we
website, please?
well, we're regrouping right now.
Okay.
So like the main way to reach me is stephanieRosebird.com. And I'm going to be doing more like live events like, art fairs and things like that with my products and with our products together. Um, so that's what I see for the next year or so.
Very good.
There's another thing that I just want to say because I got this question today from online, and it was from Denmark, and this lady was very sincere, and she said, "I love your books. I have them, but I don't know how to get those materials that you're talking about, and I can't get international shipping on them." And what I told her is that it's from the heart. It's not about the stuff. It's about you and what you have and what you bring. So you can find the simplest thing like the oak leaves magic. You can find oak leaves. So yeah, just like always remember that you don't have to, or particularly like Sticks, Stones, Roots, and Bones has a laundry list of ingredients, but you can always like cut some of them out and do your own thing with it. The main thing that I would like is for you to bring the magic out in yourself. So
Oh, that was a perfect ending.
Yeah.
So like, give her a please. And Sky, I didn't know if you wanted to.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for being on today.
Yeah.
I'm so honored to celebrate these, this amazing book, and I hope it will, buy a copy.
I want to thank you all so much for coming too. It really means a lot to me to see every face here seated. So thank you for coming and enjoy the journey.
It is a journey.